but we have to take the steps and be willing to analyze the feedback, accept the feedback for what it is, and choose which direction we want to go. It really is as simple as that. We're too busy thinking about what we have to do or we should do, or not what we want to do, why we want to do it, and how we can possibly make that a reality. Change our questions and change our lives.
Welcome back to my show. I am Yoshie, and I'm so grateful that you come back here to watch, learn, and grow. Today's guest is a mom of 3 and life coach who turned to personal development to save her life. Her name is Deborah Cowan. She helps her clients reconnect with their authentic selves, reprogram their emotional, mental, and physical states so they can achieve an unstoppable mindset and reclaim their passion for life again. Deborah is hoping to inspire others to take back control of their lives and become the best version of themselves so they can inspire those closest to them and help create a ripple effect of happiness, health, and wealth around the planet. Welcome to my show, Deb. I'm so grateful that you agreed to be interviewed, and I'm so excited for people to hear what you're going to share today, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Yoshie, for inviting me. Happy to be here and help any way I can.
Thank you. So my first question would be, I would love to know how you help people as a life coach.
I guess I specialize with people who are in the personal development field to start with, because a lot of people go into this area and they spend thousands and thousands of dollars, don't they? But they have the intellectual understanding, but they still can't seem to apply it into their life. So I guess that's my focus, that's my passion, because this stuff does work. What you learn in personal development really does work once you learn how to apply that process into your life. So the main thing I help people with is to tap into who they really are, work out their what and their why, because we all have a purpose. We're all here for a reason, but we've kind of forgotten it, right? If we really knew it. But we all know we're here for more, right? There's a reason we're here. Like, why are we here? What are we here to do? And people really don't ask those questions because they probably don't even ask themselves, are they happy? Like, what makes me happy? Am I happy? Am I enjoying my life? Right? We don't even ask those basic questions 99% of the time. We just kind of check in every 10 years and go, this is not what I planned. This is not what I expected. I can't change it. And then they just keep going, don't they? Or they set intentions to change it, but it never seems to change. So I help people actually apply the information into their daily lives so they can see the changes as they come along. Right? And because once you can decide to do something and make the change and see the outcome, you kind of get addicted. Right? You're like, oh, this does work. Hang on. And then as you practice and get bigger and bigger and bigger, you see more and more and more, and you're like, yes, right? And that is enough to give you the motivation to do more. And because part of being human too is to grow. Right? We need to have a purpose, a reason to be here, and to continue growing and expanding and learning. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the purpose, right? So can I just ask you quickly? I know this is your interview, but do you know your purpose? Do you know why you're here? Have you worked that out?
Yes, I struggled a lot with finding my why, my purpose. Like, that actually stressed me out the most the last year.
Yes.
It was like I was supposed to find my purpose and then feel happy, but that actually stressed me out more than anything. So I felt like trapped. But yeah, I felt my purpose by I did a lot of courses and things like that. But I think what helped me was looking back what was important to me as a kid, as a teenager, as an adult. I think it was always kind of same. And I always loved helping people, making people laugh and happy. So yeah, that's how I found my purpose.
Yes, yes, because when you can serve from your purpose, it's not work, is it?
Yeah.
That gives you the energy and the inspiration to go and do what you need to do. So, but when you're stuck in a job you don't like, then you've actually got to talk yourself into going to work, don't you? You don't just get up and do it. Yeah. So, like you said, it's most people, and I can give an example here is my youngest child. He's just turned 21, and he's got people saying, you have to pick what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And he's like, I have no idea, right? And so he feels pressured from people to know his purpose at that age. I'm nearly 55. I'm 55 next month. And it took me this long to work out my purpose, right? It really did. I tried I would do things and go, okay, this feels good, but didn't feel fulfilling. Right? It's like, yeah, okay, I can do this. And then I try something else and go, no, and then no. And then like you, having no idea, right? No idea, what am I meant to do? So I heard some really good advice one time where they said, I don't know, we still have bookshops. Do we still have bookshops in shopping centres anymore where you buy a physical book? I'm not sure. But they said to go into a bookshop and then see what section draws your attention. Right? So whether it be cooking, gardening, or science or science fiction or whatever it may be, but something that draws your attention, something that you're interested in. Because if you're interested in it and you enjoy it, you're going to learn it and absorb it better and have fun along the way. And you will implement the steps to get what you want. But if it feels like work, feels like a job, there's no enjoyment, you're not going to put in the effort to get the reward, are you? So finding your purpose is really, really one of the biggest things and biggest steps you can do, because that's defining your what do I want and why do I want it, right? Why do I want this? Why do I want to be here? Because I know a lot of people don't want to be here right now. Right? There's a lot of people who are thinking other things that they shouldn't be thinking because they can't find their why, right? Something to hang on to, a reason to stay here and enjoy the process, enjoy this life. Because there's a lot coming in from the outside, a lot of distractions. So I think the first thing people really need to do is to stop and ask themselves, okay, what makes me happy? I didn't know the answer. The first time I asked myself that, I remember Bob Proctor in his teaching, he was like, so what, find your purpose, find what makes you happy. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm going, okay, what makes me happy? I couldn't remember, if I'm honest. Right? I had no idea, because I'd spent my whole life making other people happy, not me. And there's a lot of people who've done the same situation, right? Done the same sort of things, served other people their whole lives and actually lost who they are and have no idea who they are, what their sense of worth is, what their purpose again is, why they're even here. A lot of the health issues too are linked to all this, because when we're not happy and not in a high vibration, our body is what suffers. So it's all connected. So people are so unhappy and they've pushed all these unhappy feelings down instead of actually processing those feelings as they come up. And because I'm not sure about you, but in my childhood, as I was growing up, we were taught to push the emotion down. Just push it aside, keep going, keep fighting, keep going, suck it up, princess, all that sort of stuff, right? And just don't process it, push it down. And that's a lot of the health issues in people. It's got to come out some way, either in like obesity, all these illnesses. Depression too is just another way of pushing down the emotions, pushing down what we don't want to feel. Because I had a new client start not long ago, and the first thing she said to me when I said to her, how do you feel? And she goes, I don't even know what that means. What do you mean, how do I feel? And I went, if you stop for a second and ask yourself, how do I feel? Do I feel happy, angry, frustrated, sad, nothing at all? And she said, I feel nothing at all. I feel numb. And that's so sad, right? That's so, so sad. It nearly broke my heart. So I find a lot of people are just in this numbness, right? They've lost their sense of purpose. They've lost what life is all about. So I like to teach people how to find their purpose, right? Their what they want and why they want it. And then to fill themselves up, like fill up their self-worth and their self-value, and that they are enoughness, right? Because that's one of the biggest paradigms we all have, is we're not enough, right? I think 90% of the population probably believe they're not enough. So we're trying to fill this hole. So we're trying to, the more stuff we have, the more my hole will get filled. So we're looking to fill it with all the wrong things. Because how long does a new item feeling last? When you buy something, right? The excitement's in the buying it. That's fun, right? Going out and buying the item is fun, but when you get it home, it's kind of pushed to the side, and that feeling's gone. And then you're looking for the next thing to fill the hole. So what I do is teach people how to fill themselves first, right? Without the stuff. To go in and understand who they are, why they're here, what they want out of life, and what they can do right now, because we can all do something, right? What can I do right now to step towards that, right? Instead of staying where I am now, where I'm unhappy. Because I honestly believe, like, money can buy happiness, right? Money can buy people happiness, but it won't fill that hole. You can be the richest person on the planet, surrounded by people, but still feel alone. That's a truth. Okay. So money can help us help other people. Money can help us do things for other people to help make them happier, make their life more comfortable. But money just makes you comfortable in your misery if you're miserable, right? It just enhances whatever you have inside. Again, back to filling up from in here, because once you can let go of that money goal, money orientation, and know it's from in here, then the money just comes to you, because you're serving from the heart. You're not in your head. You're not thinking about what can I get, what can I get, what can I get. It's what can I give? How can I contribute? How can I help others? Because we're all here. We're all the same people. Like, we're all the one species. We're all humans. We're all one person, really, right? And I believe we're all connected, and we've all been so separated lately, right? With all the stuff going on in the world. And that is causing more harm than anything, because we all feel so alone, separated, disconnected from even the real world now, right? We're all going virtual. We're not even in the real world. And people say to me, I want to hug you, but we can't hug virtually. Right? So we still need that connection with people. I help people how to reconnect with themselves, like the whole, like, connection up there, whatever you want to call it. And then, because there's the stuff up there, then there's the monkey mind, the reptilian mind, whatever you want to call it. And then there's you, right? There's us inside this physical body, right? And my little bumper car, as I call it. So I think I explained to you before, the old showgrounds where you would have the rides with the bumper car, and you'd ride along. It's got the little cable hooked up to the electricity, and you'd drive along, and you'd either run into people or you'd try and avoid them. So we're all in these like little cars driving around, but we don't know how to drive them. We don't know what we're doing with them, and we're not even in the driver's seat, right? We're just in this thing, and it's bouncing off every experience we have, and we're just reacting to that experience. So we're not even behind the wheel. And then, like I said before, every 10 years or so, or 5-10 years, we might check in and go, look around and go, this is not what I thought my life would turn out like, right? Because I know my life was far from what I expected, from what my model of the world was. So we're in these little vehicles just bouncing off everything and having no way, not knowing how to steer it, how to drive it, how to get to where we want to go. And we're just hoping to get to the end in one piece, right? That's what we're doing, hanging on, dear life, going, just let me survive this day. Let me just get through another day. But But once you realize you're not behind the wheel, you can actually get back behind the wheel and then decide where you want to go, right? So it's the what do I want, the why do I want it, and where do I want to go, right? Where do I want to be? Because life is going to unfold regardless, whether you're paying attention and steering it or you're in the back seat letting it unfold, right? It's going to change, things happen anyway. So I believe, why not get back behind the wheel and steer where you want to go instead, right? So that's kind of what I teach. It's a long-winded explanation, but there's a lot of things that I do. So, but that's the main intention of what I teach, is to get people back behind the wheel so they can, because we do influence our reality. I'm not so sure about the create reality thing, but we manipulate matter, right? And we do influence our reality by a lot of different things that we do. But most people would understand it as the action steps, like the physical steps we take in the real world. So there's a lot of different steps to being human. It's really complicated. Really, we're very complex people, and we've only just started to work out about 5% of everything. We only understand 5% of what's in the universe. So we only have a very small understanding of what makes us us. And because people don't see things, they don't believe things. So there's a lot of beliefs and a lot of stuff out there that hold us back, that really do. And a lot of it's really silly when you kind of get to my side. And I think I said to you before, I'm not sure if I spoke to you before, but I kind of feel like years ago, I was looking over the other side of the fence and the grass was greener, right? I always wanted to be on that side of the fence. Things look better over there, looks more fun over there. I'm on this side of the fence, but I want to be over there, right? But now I can say I'm actually on the other side of that fence, right? It is completely possible. And it doesn't have to be a physical thing to do it. It starts in here and in here, right? We internalize, and what we think about, what we feel about dictates the action steps we have, right? The things that we do by habit. And I think I said to you before, we can't change thought, right? Well, we can change the thoughts that we grab hold of. We can choose the thoughts we grab a hold of. Tony Robbins said it best. I did his UPW the other weekend, and the thing he said to me was, like, in the group, he said, we don't own thought. And I thought about that, right? I thought about the thought, and I went, he's right. Okay, so quantum physics and everything, like now they're looking at the theory that everything around us is information. That's the new thesis, right? New theory of, because I read all the articles and stuff, and I've kind of always said that it's information. Above us is information, and thought is information, and we kind of download it somehow, right? I'm not sure how the process works, but we get the information. It doesn't come from inside us, it comes from somewhere, right? It's like a download. It's like a dump of information, and we process it and get an idea. So there's information all around us, because we don't own the thought, because many people can have the same thought, right? We share thoughts. We have the same thought. So we don't own it. It's not individual. It doesn't come from within and bubble out. So to me, that it comes from outside somewhere. And then our beliefs and what they mean to us dictates what information will come into us. Are you aware of the RAS, what the reticular activating system? Are you aware of what that does?
No.
Have you heard of the RAS? No? It's just a little part of our brain that that filters the information. So a perfect example of what the RAS does would be, so say you were not thinking about having any kids, you've been going about your life, and every day you walk to the same coffee shop and order your coffee every morning on the way to wherever you're going, right? But every day you go to the same coffee shop, same route, go past the same houses, the same shops, everything, and go and buy your coffee, right? And you've done it for 5 years. You know what's there, what's not there, right? You don't even look anymore because you just know what's there. Mm-hmm. But then the night before you find out you're pregnant, right? You're like, and so now your whole perspective's changed. You're thinking, oh, now I need, a new car, and I need baby clothes, and I need a cot and a pram. And so your brain's going, I need all this stuff now. So your focus, your interest has changed, right? So now you're thinking about baby stuff, right? And then so the next day you walk to the shop to go and buy your coffee, and you look across the road, and then all of a sudden you say there's a baby shop right there, right? You see prams and cots and everything out the front, and you're like, that wasn't there before, right? But you know it didn't appear overnight, but your awareness changed, your focus changed, your interest changed. So the RAS's job is to let in the information that you're interested in, right? So now you're thinking about baby stuff. It goes, oh, you need to see that shop. You'll see it, right? It didn't just manifest, it was already there, but because the RAS is designed to delete information, distort it, right? It's got to fit in within our beliefs. So you didn't need to, you weren't believing or thinking about babies, right? There was not even a thought in your mind, so you didn't pay attention to it, but it's always been there, right? But now your focus has changed. You will see, and then you'll start to see cars that you need to put, you know, you'll see pregnant women and you'll see cars for, oh, I need that model car or what. So you'll start to see different things. And like buying a new car, you pick your model going, I don't see many of those on the road, but as soon as you buy a new car, you're like, they're everywhere, right? But because that's what the RAS does. It goes, oh, you like this car, you're interested in this car, let me show you more. So then it allows that information to be displayed, I guess is how I would put it, in our reality, right? So you can look that up anyway, the reticular activating system. It's very interesting because it's the one that will let you overhear conversations you need to hear, right? And see other things that you need to see to get a different perspective and go a different direction. It gives you the information, and that filters the information that you need to create your reality. Then to me, that's a very crucial part of the process, right? Is understanding what that is, what it does, and how you can have it work for you. Right. So that's kind of what I do in my life. I work out what I want to see, what I want to experience, and then I focus on it enough that the RAS goes, okay, let's show you evidence of that. Let's bring that into your awareness so you can move towards that direction. So that's my understanding of how this process works. Right. Does that all make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
You get what you focus on more. It's like when I went to the US 5 years ago or so, I didn't know the expression say, just so you know. And I never heard of that, just so you know, just that. And I hear that everywhere when I went to the US.
Yeah.
Once I'm aware, I was like, I didn't know so many people just saying it. Like everywhere I go, in a cafe, supermarket, hostel, everywhere, I just heard it. And I think what I focus on, like I get more somehow, and it happens all the time in my life.
Yes, and that's how we actually manipulate our reality. So like I said, I don't believe we create it. There's something out there bigger than us creating all this, right? But we have the ability to manipulate reality. And I love things like I said, quantum physics and epigenetics and all different stuff like physics and different perspectives, different ideas from the best people, right? Because they're all focused on their one little field. And then when they have a discovery, that all I've got to do is read that and understand that little piece of information and fit it into my, you know, my big picture. Where does that affect humans? How do we do that? How does that work? How does that get us to the end result? Because I think I shared with you before, my purpose, my desire is to work out what we are and how we work, right? I want to know how I create my reality. I want to know how I do this, right? Step by step by step. And I have an amazing understanding so far, but there's still a few pieces I need to fill in, obviously, right? But we're making new discoveries every couple of months now. So, and I love things like the double split experiment, right? Where I'm for protons and waves and all sorts of interesting things, because I believe we manipulate matter. I really do, with our thoughts and our feelings, which is just our emotion, right? Our feelings is just our emotions. We feel them, right? But that's also, again, vibration that we put out. If your thoughts create a specific feeling, and that feeling is what you put out, and knowing law of attraction and all, it's karma, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it, I believe it's the same thing, right? So whatever you're putting out from here is what you're going to bring back, right? It's the vibration. So the human body actually renders the information and gives us this vision that we see. It's all vibration. It's, you know, and it took me a lot to get my head wrapped around the fact that everything I'm looking at is actually vibrating and moving, right? That's just a really hard thing to get the mind around when we look at it and we touch it and we go, but it's so like, it's no, right? It's so real. But it seems to make so much sense to me because everybody can seem to have a different experience, even though they have the same experience. So we can all be in one room and have the one thing happen, but we all get a different takeaway, right? We all remember it different. It's a different experience because it played out differently for us based on what we interpreted, what our beliefs were around the situation, right? So then we'd all react differently to the situation as well, won't we? So if one person was upset, they might cry. And if another person thought it was funny, they'd probably laugh, depending on their version based on what they believe about that. So we know there's something out there doing all this, right? There's gravity, and there's all sorts of stuff, right? There's all these things that we don't understand in physics and science, but it's there nonetheless. So instead of focusing on what that is, it's like, how do we use that for our advantage? So that's kind of what I'm focused on. How do I turn my thoughts into my things? Because it does start in the head, right? In our thoughts and our beliefs.
Yeah, like you said, what we believe determines how we feel. Like whatever happens outside, is even if someone's like criticizing you and things like that, if you believe what they're saying is true, then you feel hurt, you feel down, you feel sad. But you know that they're just criticizing you just because of their stories or what they're going through.
People might not have that awareness though.
Yeah,
they take it to heart, right? And then think about that. So if someone said something mean to you and you took it to heart, and that vibration is what comes out, that feeling, right? You feel sad, right? You feel really sad and rejected. Then knowing how this process works, it's not a specific outcome you're going to get. Like you can't kind of dictate what events are going to come to you step by step. You can't go, right, I'm going to get this much money and then I'm going to do, we try to dictate the outcome, but we can't. It's just, we draw back experiences for what we're feeling. So if you're feeling rejected or depressed or hurt, then your experiences will bring you more of that feeling. Does that make sense? Right? Just more experiences to keep you feeling the same way, to keep you feeling rejected, to keep you feeling upset, depressed, hurt, angry, whatever it may be. So it's law of attraction, but everyone's doing it in reverse, right? They're bringing themselves more of what they don't want because they're so focused on what they don't want that they're drawing more of what they don't want, and they go around and around in circles and they can't step off, can't seem to break the chain, right? Can't get out of the rut they're in. They're just stuck going around and around and around and going, I don't like my life. I hate my life. I hate my job. I hate where I am, but I don't know how to get out, right? Mm-hmm. And because they don't know how, they don't do anything. Mm-hmm. And so they feed off more of the same, right? They're unhappy. They put out an unhappy vibe. So if someone was unhappy and they said something to you, it'd be with an unhappy tone, wouldn't it? Right? They would probably yell at you or be nasty to you, because my understanding of people is that when we get hurt, we hurt others in return. It makes us feel better, right? It's just a reaction. It's how we seem to be programmed, conditioned. So I know when someone hurts somebody, it's because they're hurting. Right? So I don't let that in now. I understand what's going on. But if you didn't know that and someone was angry, you'd think they were angry at you, so you would feel bad. So their feedback, your reaction to them being angry would be you would be angry, right? So that feeds them again, and it keeps them angry, right? Because they're putting it out, they're getting it back, putting it out, getting it back, putting it out, getting it back. And it just becomes standard in your life, right? So the only way we can get better, the humanity can get better as a species, is to help each other raise each one's vibration, build people up, right? even school, they give you all your F's and your fails, and they bring it in red. You know, I don't know if they do it now, but in my day, they'd give you a big F and they'd circle it in red, and they'd focus on the fail. You got it wrong, you got it wrong, you got it wrong. They wouldn't once tell you, oh, but you got that right. Let's build you up and show you how to do this, right? So build your confidence. They're like, no, you failed, no, you failed, no, you failed. And children are kind of growing up feeling like failures already, aren't they? They're not uplifted and taught what they can possibly do. Mind you, there's some beautiful parents out there who are doing amazing jobs. Some of the young kids I see come through now are so awake, so aware, and knowing all this stuff. Like, it's beautiful, it lights my heart up. And so I love having those conversations with these beautiful young people. So there's some amazing parents out there. I applaud you. You guys are awesome. So keep up the good work. Because what we do as parents, right, dictates what our kids are going to do, because they mimic us. Right? They copy what we do. They don't always listen to what we say, but they copy what we do. And we don't always do the right things that we want our kids to model. So it starts with us. Again, it starts here, doesn't it? It all starts with us. We are responsible. We are responsible. We're not to blame for what's happened in the past, because we can't change it. For me, I think letting go of blame was one of the biggest things, I have to admit, because I always blamed everybody else, and I let other people make decisions for me, so I didn't have that responsibility. Right? If I let them make the decision and it didn't work out, I'm not to blame. It's not my fault. Right? They made the decision, so I can blame them. Realizing I was doing that, I was also handing over my power to somebody else. Right? It also deflated my self-confidence, my self-esteem, my intuition. I didn't trust my own thoughts, my own opinions anymore, my own beliefs. I lost my sense of myself. Right? I just handed my life over to other people. There's no fun in that at all. Right? So now I don't blame anybody, but I will listen to other people's opinions, but unless they've actually done the thing I'm about to do, had the experience I'm about to have, and they have feedback for me, I won't listen. I'm not interested, because it's just their opinion. It's not something they've experienced, right? Something they know, because we all have opinions we like to share with other people, whether we've actually done the deed or not, right? So, and by doing that, and because I noticed a pattern every time I second guessed myself. So I would make a decision, right? I'm going to do this. And then somebody would say, oh, but if you did it this way, you'd probably get a better outcome. Or what if you did it this way? What if you did? And then I start to second guess myself, right? And I go, oh, and I know every time if I chose their way, it would fail. Every single time I go, I knew it, right? And this is our programs, our beliefs, right? And also our incantations, affirmations, whatever you want to call them, right? I knew it. If I knew it wasn't going to work, I knew, like, so we'd say stuff like this to ourselves all the time, right? I knew that wouldn't work. If I listened to them, I knew it, but we make the choice anyway, right? But once I got to the point where I went, you know what, I'm going to do it my way and see what happens. Right? It's my choice then, and I can see what happens, and I can analyze the feedback and then go from there. But then I know it's my choice. I did it. And then I can see what worked, what didn't work. But that was still really difficult, because those thoughts in your head are like, but what if it fails? What if it goes wrong, right? By taking little steps forward, trying little things, applying little things step by step, and just going, I'll do this one thing and see what happens, right? Then I'll do, and okay, I enjoyed that, or I didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy that. I won't do that one again, right? I know I won't do that one again, but let me do it this way then. And take things that do work and do more of them, and the things that don't work, do less of. Because people seem to pay attention to what doesn't work and do more of that, right? It doesn't seem to make any sense to me. They're like, oh, there's a problem, there's another problem, another problem. But that's where the problems are. The solutions are over there. You've got to go, okay, there's a problem. All right, let me step back and go, so where can I find a solution? Stop looking at the problem and look for a solution. Right? Change the focus. Again, it's that RAS, right? Change the focus, because there's always going to be problems. But if you can step back and go, okay, where can I find a solution? And it's not even like swap the how for who, right? Instead of how do I fix this, who can I model? Who's already done this? Who can I speak to? Or, who can I learn from to get the results I want? They've achieved the results. So we get stuck on the how because we don't know how to do it. So we don't do anything. I want this, but I don't know how to do it. You've only got to know the first step, right? I want to go from here to there. Again, the what, the why, right? If you know the what you want, why you want it, the how will just show itself. It'll show you because you have a direction. You have put in your destination. So then you can sit back and go, so where I know I want to go there. So what do I need to do to get one step closer, right? And it's incremental, bit by bit by bit. Dip your toe in, see what happens. Dip your toe in, see what happens. Then put your foot in and see what happens, right? Because I don't like the fear I don't like the fear barrier, the fear of going all in and jumping into something I can't predict, right? That causes stress, right, on the body, because your brain is designed to analyze everything to death pretty much, right? You want to do something, you make a decision, so then you're going to go, okay, so if I do that, that might happen. If I do that, might happen. And if I do that, might happen. And then you'll hit brick wall after brick wall after brick wall, go, well, if I do that, that'll happen. So I can't do that. So then we try and analyze all the different ways. But our brain can only analyze a few paths. And there are unlimited possibilities, right? We do not know how it's going to play out. So we talk ourselves out of it and go, well, that's not going to work. So all the ways we know won't work, because if we knew how to do it, we would have done it, right? So we're looking for new information, and you can't find new information looking at old information, right? So again, you have to step back and look somewhere else for the answer. Bob Proctor used to teach, if you have a problem, you write it on a piece of paper, stick it on a table, and then walk around the table and look at it from all different angles, right? And I remember him saying that, right? And in the beginning, when I only understood the information intellectually, I'm like, well, what's that meant to do? It's just reading the same bit of information upside down or sideways. I'm like, how's that meant to help, right? How does that possibly help? But now I understand, like, the metaphor, right? Now I understand that it's step back and look at it from a different angle, look in a different position, look at it from a different way to find different information to solve the problem. So it's not so much look at the problem, it's look at different perspectives of the problem. It's so much easier because your problems are not problems anymore, right? They're just an obstacle from where you are to where you want to go. So when you know your destination, when you know your purpose and where you want to go, it's like nothing can get in your road, right? It's like, no, I know where I'm going. And everything will come up. But if you are involved in it, like so focused on the problem, you'll zoom in, right? That's what the brain does. It'll zoom in on the problem and it'll try and analyze it and beat it to death. But if you can go, it's just a little problem, just a little barrier, and step back and go, okay, so it goes from a mountain to a little tiny pebble, right? And you can go, oh, I know how to fix that. That's easy. And you can just flick it out of the road and keep going. Because it's usually not as big a problem as we make it. We make it up bigger in our head than what it really is in real life, right?
100%, yeah. I think when we write down the problem, the first thing I realized was that when I'm focusing on the problem, I think I'm the failure, like I'm the problem. But by writing it down and putting it on the table, I can separate myself from the problem, if that makes sense, so that I can see it more like a bird's eye view or objectively. And also what Bob does is like, what would Abraham Lincoln says, or what would Einstein say to this problem? And ask to these people who have gone already, but who you respect and who you want to be like, so that you can get better answers.
Love it. Yes. And it's the questions we ask, right? That's perfect. And like you said too, even those people are gone, the information that they contained, like knowing everything is information, the information they contained is still out there. So we still have the ability to get their thoughts, right? Because it's all there. And Abraham Hicks says every thought that's ever been thought is out there and available, right? It's all just there for everybody to tap into. but people are so stuck in the drama of their lives and in their internal conversations and their stories, they can't separate themselves from that. It feels so real, right? And it's not usually until someone's life is so uncomfortable, and I like to use the term, their nail is sharp enough, that they actually go, I have to make a change because I can't keep going this way, right? And it's not until their enoughness meter is overflowing with, I cannot do it, I've had enough, they will make a choice and they will make a change. But I like to help people make a change before they get to that point, right? My enoughness nearly cost me my life. So I got to the point where they were telling me I was going to die unless I changed, but I didn't know how to change. Like, I didn't even know why I was making the choices I was making when I didn't even believe half the stuff. We don't even question our own basic base beliefs, the ones that we're brought up with, right? We don't even question them. Why do I believe that? Why do I believe there's not enough money? Why do I believe that life is hard, or life's a bitch and then you die, right? All these things that used to come into my head. Life's meant to be hard. You know, you've got to work hard for what you want. I believe these people should have been gagged. Don't let them say this stuff, right? Because it's not true. It's not true. Once you realize that these are just stories you keep telling yourself, if you repeat it on a daily basis, it becomes a truth for you, but it's not the truth. So learning maths would be a perfect example. So if you, like, I used to say to myself all the time, I'm bad at maths, I'm bad at maths, I'm bad at maths, I can't do maths, I'm bad at maths, because that was my experience in school, right? I didn't understand it. It was not explained to me in a way that I could understand it. That's all it was. There was nothing wrong with me, but I believed there was something wrong with me. And that, because that was the feedback I got, right? There's something wrong with you, you're broken. So I had a belief that I was bad at maths. But what that actually did was my brain went, okay, we're bad at maths. So I'd see a math problem, it goes, I don't know. And I wouldn't even try to work it out. I just go, I'm bad at maths. And I would use a calculator, or I'd ask somebody else, right? Because I had a belief I was bad at maths. But that's actually not a truth. It may be true to me, but it's not a truth. Because the truth is, I could actually hire someone to teach me maths, and I could become really good at maths if I made the choice to do that. I can work this out if I try. If I really wanted to work it out, I could. Or I could just keep my crappy belief and go, it's too hard, I'm bad at maths, I don't have to put any effort in. We have a lot of beliefs like that. Life's too hard. Why would I put any effort? I'm just bad at life. I've heard people say that. I don't know. I just suck at life. I don't know how to live life. I'm really bad at this. And these are things, the stories we tell ourselves. What happens? That's what happens in our experience, doesn't it? And so another thing too is I would like to help people understand about meditation too, because they have a belief around meditation, a model of what it should look like. They believe they should be able to sit down for 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day and think nothing and sit still and expect the body to do that. But it won't, right? It won't sit still if it's never done it before. It's like a naughty child, right? You say you sit there in that corner for 10 minutes with your nose on the window or the wall. Do not move, right? That kid's going to fidget. They're going to move and they're going to squirm, and because they can't sit still, right? So you're doing the same thing to your body when you tell it to meditate. Sit there, release all thought, don't move, right? Just breathe. And it's like, I'm not doing that. We've got emails to check. I've got a meeting coming up. I've got bills I've got to pay. I've got to pick the kids up. I've got to go get the groceries, whatever, right? And your body's going, no, get up, get up, get up. We've got stuff to do, because you've trained your body to be in that condition, going, moving, doing. Just because if I'm doing something, I'm growing, but you're not, right? You're just doing something to fill the time because it's uncomfortable to sit still. It feels unnatural to sit still. So, which is very silly. To sit there for 10 minutes with your eyes closed feels unnatural. How can that be so? Like, that still, still baffles my mind. How can sitting alone with your eyes closed for 10 minutes feel so uncomfortable and so unnatural to us? Right? Because we have conditioned these poor bodies to just go and go and go and go, but we don't give them the conditions they need to keep up with us. Right? We just push it and push it and push it and push it and push it until it gives up. bit like your car. If you don't maintain your car, if you buy a car and you never service it, all you ever do is just put petrol in it and run it until it's had a really hard life. You flog that thing, eventually it's going to break down the side of the road, right? Probably only get half the life out of it. But if you care for it and you maintain it and look after it, put it in for a service, right? Look after this thing, you're going to get twice the life out of it. Easy. Meditation is part of this healing process. It needs that environment. It needs that disconnection from the outside world, from the stimulation, from everything, to reconnect and hear that inner voice that you have, that consciousness that's in you, right? We hear it, but we dismiss it. We have conversations with ourselves and we dismiss the one that says we should be taking more time for us. We should be chilling out. We should be having more fun. We should be doing this, right? But then you've got the other party that says, no, we've got bills to pay. We've got responsibilities. I have to do this to this person. I have to get this done. And this is a deadline and I have no choice. And we justify why we do what we do every day. Does that make sense? We justify it. We tell ourselves reasons why we have to keep getting up and doing stuff. We talk ourselves into it. So when you first start meditating and you sit down, your body's uncomfortable, right? It's really uncomfortable. So I don't know what your experience is with meditation. Do you find it easy to meditate?
I started like 4 or 5 years ago. It was difficult to do for a long time, but yeah, I just didn't know how to do it. So I did guided meditation and I think that was easy, but then I stopped doing this guided meditation. It was harder because my thought just come up. And like you said, exactly like, oh, I have to do this. Like, I don't have time to do meditation because I'm not doing anything. But this being is actually more important than doing. And to understand that, it took a lot of time. It took years for me to really understand how important it is to just be and sit and in quiet.
Yeah, and it only takes like 10 minutes a day. And people say to me, I don't have time to meditate. And I'm like, well, if you don't have 10 minutes for you a day, do you think you might have a problem with your life? Like, it's not your life then. It's everybody else's life. You are living your life to fulfill everyone else's needs and not your own. And the only person who's going to suffer is you. So I like with meditation, I teach people to like even doing a jigsaw, right? Doing a jigsaw or going and walking in nature or playing with your pets. Even playing computer games sometimes can be, meditative, depending on the game, if it's not too stimulating. But it's something that's just enough to keep that mind occupied, right? In the beginning anyway, just keep that mind occupied because thoughts are going to pop in and out. They're just going to come in. We can't turn off thought. And if you can understand, we can't actually turn that off, but we can choose whether we jump into that thought and follow it down here, because you might start with you'll be sitting there meditating and you go, oh, I haven't got any of this. I've got to make dinner, right? And then you'll start to imagine yourself going to the supermarket to buy that ingredient, and then you'll think of something else, right? And then all of a sudden you're on a negative topic, maybe like a divorce or an argument or anything like your bills. The next thing you're sitting going, hey, I'm meant to be meditating and now I'm depressed and I'm down here thinking about this, because we jump on the thoughts and we just follow them along, right? And all it does is give you a feeling. So your thoughts give you a feeling. And that feeling, again, is what goes out, right? So the idea of meditation is to just try and get yourself into a position where you're just like, okay, I feel okay. I can just sit here for a moment knowing that the world is not going to end in 10 minutes. The world will not come to an end without me. It will keep spinning for 10 minutes while I just sit here and breathe. And I got to say, most people don't breathe correctly either. Right? They all chest breathe. They all stress breathe. And most people don't even know they have a diaphragm, and we use our diaphragm to breathe. Right? We push air down into our lower abdomen and into our lungs, our lower lungs, with our diaphragm, and then we push the air back out. But people are like, right? That's stress breathing. That sends a stress signal to the body. So if you're sitting there meditating going, that's not relaxing, right? That's the body still stayed in stress, a state of stress. And I teach people how to breathe too, right? Breathe properly, nice deep breaths, but it actually hurts. It physically hurts when you learn to breathe properly, because your diaphragm it needs to be built up. It's not used, right? We're not using that part of our body for so long that when you start to use it, it hurts. It's like using a muscle you've never used before. And it's like, that's painful. If it hurts when you breathe correctly by breathing deep down into your lungs, then obviously you haven't been breathing correctly. You haven't used your body correctly. How we breathe dictates the state our body's in, right? If we're breathing shallow and hunched over and, and like if someone's depressed, if I had two people behind a curtain and I said to you, I want you to tell me which one's happy, which one's depressed, and pull the curtain across, I think you could tell me, couldn't you? Just by body language, even if they didn't speak. By looking at someone, you could tell me who was happy and who wasn't, right? Mm-hmm. So body language plays a big part of this as well. So if you're depressed, you breathe shallow, like you close up, you bring your shoulders down, you close up, you can't breathe deeply because it's shallow, you cannot push your air down. So you're in this, like, as soon as I did that, my body made me sit back up so I could take a deep breath. So I've trained it to breathe properly. It's like, no, we can't breathe like that, sit up, right? Being aware of what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what we're doing, and breathing is a doing, right? Breathing is something we are doing. And it plays a part in the steps, our habits, right? If we're in a stress state, we're going to react differently than we're in a calm, clear state, relaxed state, right? If we're calm and relaxed, we will respond to an outcome. But if we're stressed, we're going to react to the outcome based on how the state the body's in, right? The condition the body's in. So again, this is all so technical, but it all connects, right? It all joins together because every part plays a part. Everything we do has a result. It has a vibration. It has a life of its own. Everything we think, everything we say, everything we do helps to create the experiences we have on a moment-to-moment basis. And when you get really good at this, you can sit back in the moment, do your thing, like do your action step, and then sit back and go, what's the feedback? What happened when I did that? What reaction did I get from the outside world based on that step? And once you can do that, and when you know where you want to go and you know how to do this step by step, you can start to do the steps, analyze the feedback, adjust it, a bit like autopilot, right? In a plane, right? Take a step, let's go in that direction. Now let's correct and go this way. We want to go this way. Take another step. Oh, it's going too much. Correct, right? But we have to take the steps and be willing to analyze the feedback, accept the feedback for what it is, right? And choose which direction we want to go. It really is as simple as that, but people don't have the skill to do that. They're too busy thinking about what we have to do or we should do, or we really, not what we want to do, why we want to do it, and how we can possibly make that a reality. So change our questions and change our lives. Really can.
I think the last question I have is for the people who are feeling sad or depressed and lonely, they don't know where to start, and they might do meditation and things like that, but they're still feeling down and sad. Where can they start with?
Okay, well, I think the best advice I could probably give somebody right now would be to just stop for a moment and ask yourself these questions, right? And just go, am I happy? And if you're not happy, just go, why am I not happy? What was I expecting my life to look like, right? Because pain is caused when what we think our life should have played out like is not what we see. Right? What we think it should be and what it actually is in reality is not the same. That's when we get pain. And it doesn't matter how big or small that thing is, right? Even if we decide, I want to get a new car, but then it doesn't play out that way. You get knocked back for a loan or whatever it may be, right? But because you had the expectancy and the picture in your head of a new car and it didn't happen, that's when you feel pain, right? Your expectation did not meet reality. So if you're in a position where you cannot possibly change your reality because we can't control other people, right? We cannot control other people. They're going to do what they're going to do regardless of what we say or do, right? We might be able to influence them if they trust us. We might be able to influence the things that they think or feel to help them in the, get to where they want to go in a positive way, but we can't make the choice for them. They still have to make the choice themselves, right? So all we can do is change us. It does start within, and within is a really scary place to be, right? Taking the lid off what is inside can be as scary as the thought of opening Pandora's box. I don't know what's going to be in there when I start to look inside. So we deflect and we blame and we just take everything away from us and go, it's all out there. It's everyone else's fault, everything else's fault. But in the reality, unfortunately, it's probably hard for people to hear, but it really is. It's our responsibility. We're not to blame for what's happened, right? It's not our fault that our life is where it is, because if we were taught better, if we knew better, we would have done better. So my first advice to people is stop blaming yourself for stuff that you can't control, right? It's not your fault. You can't control what other people think, feel, and do. It's their business anyway, not ours. It's their life. Let them live it. You are not to blame, but from this moment on, you are responsible. Right? It's your responsibility to take control of how you feel. And the biggest thing for people is letting other people's judgment in. We do something that makes us feel good. Other people judge us for it. So we no longer feel good about what we just did. So we lose our enjoyment. The next part is knowing that their opinion really doesn't matter, right? It really does not matter, because if you were listening to their opinion and dictating your life based on what other people think, you're living their version of their life, not yours. You need to know your what and your why. If you know your what, you know your why. Start to ask yourself those questions. What do I really want out of this life, right? Why am I here? What could I possibly do to find some level of enjoyment here? Because it's really a perspective, right? Glass half full, right, or half empty. It all depends on how you look at it, right? And I understand people being in depression, because I do remember driving to work on several occasions and going, I could just steer into the center column. It'd be over. It'd be done, right? But I had 3 kids. I had 3 kids to look after. I can't do that. That's a choice I cannot make. But the thoughts were still there nonetheless, right? So we get to this point where we just go, I can't go on. I just don't want to go on. But that's when you've got to find your why, right? Why am I still here then? If I really wanted to go, I would have done it, right? There's so many opportunities to do this. So there's a reason I'm still here. Why am I hanging on? Why am I still here? What am I trying to get out of this experience? And if you can start to ask yourself those questions and be honest with the answers that come back, pay attention to what you're saying to yourself, right? Listen to those answers. And if it's, I guess, another bit of advice too, because I said there's 2 of us in our heads, right? There's us and there's that other programmed voice that tells us what we can and can't do. The one that tells us we're an idiot, one that tells us we're stupid, one that says, why would they listen to you? That really horrible voice that we all have in our head. If you can understand that that is just a collection of everything you've ever learned and ever been told in your whole life, and it's just replaying everything to you. It's like a record, right? It's just replaying and replaying the same stories you've been telling yourself your whole life. But you listen to it, right? You listen to it. And one of the biggest things I ever did was I turned around and said, when I could separate myself from that voice, when I realized that's not me, right? I'm me, and there's a voice in my head telling me stuff I don't want to hear. When I had that realization. So I would then turn around and I would go and I would have a thought, right? And then I would think something about that thought, and it would be something negative, like, we can't do that. What's that person going to think? Or if we do that, and then so I would actually stop and go, you know what? I listened to you and you got me into this mess. right? By listening to you, you got me into this mess that I call my life. So why would I listen to your advice anymore? I'm not going to listen to you anymore. I'm going to listen to me, right? And every time I caught myself, I would go, no, I'm not listening to you. I'm listening to me, right? I'm going to trust me for a change, and I'm going to play with this, and I'm going to see if the stuff works, right? I'm just going to put my, like I said, put my toe in and see what happens. Put my toe in and see what happens. I'm not going to jump in whole hog, right? And give everything I've got in case it's the wrong direction. And then what's the feedback going to be? It's if I give all, I'm going to get all back. And if it's the wrong direction, it's going to be a really bad negative, isn't it? It's going to be a really strong negative. And I'm not willing to do that to myself either, right? So which is why I had the step by step approach. Understand the fear, understand why I feel fearful around that. Why do I not like that feeling? Why do I think that's going to happen? Right? And then when you can realize it's just the stories you tell yourself that might possibly come about. Take time out for you, 20 minutes a day, I reckon, 20 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes here or 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there, 3 minutes, 20 times a day, whatever it may be, right? But just those few moments to breathe and just stop and be here in this moment, right here in this moment, not thinking about the future, not thinking about the past. And if you can sit there with your eyes closed and breathe for 1 minute and not go away anywhere, not run away, thinking about something else, celebrate it, right? Just go, I did it. Like it might have been 1 minute, but I did it. So if I can do 1 minute, I can do 2 minutes tomorrow. Because if you don't get a reward for what you're doing, even if it's tiny, if you don't get a reward, you're not going to keep doing it. We're reward based, right? Humans need a reward, and we're so used to the short term, reward for instant gratification, right? We're used to instant for gratification now. We don't want to do the hard work and get rewarded 10 years down the track. We want the reward right now. So if you can incorporate that into your process, like reward yourself the little tiny steps that you do, your body and your vibration will continually stay up, because we're always taking incremental steps anyway. Every day we're taking tiny little steps to get to where we want to go, but most of us are doing it unconsciously and have no direction, and we're just bouncing off everything we come across.
Yeah, thank you so much. I absolutely loved that people need to start asking questions and be honest with answers, and then they can start meditating, even just starting with 1 minute, and then celebrate that you actually did it, and give yourself a reward, and then do it again and create a momentum to move forward. And I absolutely loved it. Yeah.
So learn to reconnect to your body and have it come with you on the ride instead of trying to drag it along. Yeah, it's more fun. Because if your body's happy, you're happy, right? It's not happy. I don't know whoever said happy wife, happy life, but it's happy body, happy life. Mm. If your body is happy in a good high vibration, you feel good and you can achieve more, and you have more self-confidence and more courage and more empowerment, right? You just feel better because we experience our life through this body, don't we? It's those feelings, those chemicals we release that give us this experience, and the memories and everything, So we experience it through this body, and we can have the best experience if it's in the best health possible. And it all starts with, I reckon, 1 minute. 1 minute, you can do this. So take the woo-woo out of everything and just go, this is the basics of it. This is what it is. This is why it works. And this is how easy it is to implement it into your daily routine to get the results you want. They're not instantaneous, right? But you didn't create your life instantaneous. You didn't just appear in your life where it is. You built up to it, right? You made choices to get you to where you are now. So you'll do the same thing now that you've always done, but your choices will be with intent, with a direction, all right? Knowing, do I want to go that way? Will doing this step hold me back or take me backwards, or will it actually take me to where I want to go, even if it's only a tiny little step? And then you look back a couple of years and go, wow, look at where I was to where I am now. That's how the process works. So people have got to stop trying to expect miracles overnight, because like you can't get a six-pack at a gym by going once, right? You can't go there once and come back. As nice as that would be, hey, but it's not a reality yet. So, yeah. Yeah. Adjust your expectations of life. If you can't adjust your outside surroundings and you can't manipulate the people around you to behave themselves, which you can't, right, then adjust your expectations of life and go, okay, it's not where I want to be, so where do I want to be? If this is not it, where do I want to be? And what can I do right now to take one tiny step forward to where that is? So I look back to where I was, like my story was I was over 180 kilos and bedridden, and I had to quit my job to try and get my health back. But then our financial situation involved me trying to create a business instead of resting. And because I was working from home, I worked harder and longer hours, and I got sicker until I got to the point and I just went, why? Right? If I stopped right now, would we die of starvation? Like, would we all die if I stopped and looked after me for a little while? And then I realized, well, if I don't, I'm going to die. So maybe I should, right? Maybe I should have paid attention to me for a change. And then when I did that, my life was never the same, right? When I wasn't being people saw me as being selfish. I was making choices based on what I wanted to do. And if that meant I didn't want to go and do the family gathering that everyone's going to, I then had the courage to go, I don't want to do that because that's not going to be a fun experience for me. I used to go and then everyone would judge me and I'd just sit there and wait to leave, right? It was never a fun experience, but I would go because I didn't want to let anyone else down. I was expected to be there. But then when I chose to put my feelings first and go, I don't want to go because it's not going to be a fun experience, I became selfish in other people's eyes. But I was actually learning to become self-centered, right? To look after me first. So we have to turn it in. We have no choice. It's from a have to a must. If I want a better quality of life for myself, and even if not for myself, but for those I love, I must do the inner work. I must have a peek inside and see what makes me tick. I have to know what I'm doing if I want to make a change.
Starting with yourself at where you are, and anyone can do it. Anyone can start, because
Yes.
you don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to change other people. You can just focus on yourself, and anyone can do it.
Yes. Well, you influence those around you anyway. Like I said, like if you're cranky and then you yell at the people around you, you're going to get that same vibration back. Whereas if you can center yourself and go, you know what, that's all their problems. I let go of everyone else's problems, everyone else's baggage, including my own family, right? I'm just like, that's their baggage. I don't need that weight to carry around. It's their beliefs, their problems, their issues. They can have them back, right? And I'm going to focus on what's going to fill me up from the inside and so I can be the best version of me, because the best version of me equals me giving the best of me to my children. And if I can do that for my kids, what's it going to do for them, right? They're going to have the best life that they can possibly have. And that means more to me than anything on the planet, right? To ensure my kids get the best opportunity to have the best life experience they can possibly have. And the problem is, it took me so long to work this out, and my children are adults. I now have to unprogram my own children and recondition them with my new beliefs, because they still have all the old society beliefs, right? That they're not enough, that they need money to be happy, and there's never enough money, and there's not enough to go around, and everybody hates me, and the world's hard. And, you know, they have all those thoughts running around in their head, when I'm sitting there saying the opposite now, going, no, life is beautiful, right? It's all your perspective. It really is your perspective. You can stay in that victim mentality, right, where the life's coming at me, or you can step back and go, well, life's here to serve me, life's here for me. I have experiences so I can learn and grow and expand, because if I don't know what I don't like, how do I know what I do like? If I've never had a bad experience, how do I know what a good experience feels like? So life's here to learn from. It's not, people say it's testing me, it's a lesson, kind of, right? It's not really testing you. I don't believe it's testing you. I believe our life follows us around, because we're living 15 seconds in the past, right? It takes 15 seconds for us to see and experience what's happened. So everything's past, right? It's all feedback. It's all past feedback. So we can't change it. So if we can stay here in the moment and go, so it's right here, right now is all we really, really have, right? All we have is right here, right now, because the past is gone. We can't change it. The future hasn't happened. And our mind cannot possibly predict all the future outcomes. We cannot do it. We're not physically capable. Learning to trust yourself, your own instincts, taking time out for you, caring for you, being the best version of you to give to everybody else, then we have a ripple effect. You give the best of you, and then those around you get better, and then they give the best of them, and then those around them get better, and they give the best of them, and eventually, I don't know how many years it's going to take, but eventually there will be a new wave go through. All right, that's what I feel, because we're ready for a change. We really are.
Yeah, the ripple effect starts from you, like it starts within you and it spreads.
Yes. Yeah, but you've got to be willing to be honest with yourself, right? If you say, I'm never going to do that again, and then you go and do it the next day, right? That's lying. In my books, right? You've said to your body, I'll never drink again. I'm sure I've said that a few times. I'll never drink again. And then the next weekend I'm drinking again. It's like, you said you'd never drink again. So we do things to ourselves. We lie to ourselves, right? To make ourselves feel better. So let's be honest with ourselves, work out why we don't feel happy and what we can do, what we can move towards that will help fill us up, right? And I think that's the best path for humanity. I think that's the best way we can go. Yeah.
Yes, it's really powerful. It gives us the power back to take responsibility and starting from us.
Yeah, but that's hard for people to hear, right? Because I remember when I first heard that it's my fault, like, well, not my fault, but I'm responsible for everything that's come into my life. And I'm like, damn, did I really do all this? But, right, knowing that stuff, knowing that that's how it works, when things come to me, and if it's something I don't like, I'm like, oh, I did that. What was I thinking about? What was I feeling when to bring this into my experience? So to me, that's like an alarm bell. It's like, oh, I don't like this, how this is unfolding. Whoa, stop. What are you putting out? What are you doing? What's going on, Deb? Stop, tune in, pay attention, instead of just letting the negative event unfold and then another one on top of that and another one on top of that. You know how you go downhill fast? Stop it in its tracks as soon as you're aware of this is not feeling good, this is not what I like. Stop it and pay attention and change your vibration in the moment. That's where the power is. That is where your true power is, staying in the moment.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deb, for sharing all your wisdom and experiences. And I absolutely loved everything you shared today. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Happy to help. Yes.